Hey, what's up? How you doing? Last year I did a video called 10 Things I Wish I Knew Before College, and that was after my freshman year. But since another year has passed, that means another year of knowledge and of things that I've learned. So I thought I would do sort of an updated version of things that I wish I knew before college, but I'm giving you a bonus 11 things. Since last year I did 10, 1 year later, one extra thing. Before I get started, if you have any questions about college at all, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm thinking about doing a college Q&A video, so if I get enough questions for that, I will make one. So feel free to leave any sort of questions like that down below in the comments, and then I will answer them in another video. So let's just get into the things that I have learned. Number 1 is that college is the place to make mistakes. If you mess up in college, it's not the end of the world. I, like I'm sure pretty much anyone else, hate messing up. So it doesn't matter that I'm still in a learning environment. To me, I still hate making mistakes. And it's just something that I've learned over time. When you make mistakes in a class or in a club activity, it's a lot better to make them there than it would be to make them in the real world in your job. So just as an example for me, I'm a part of my university's broadcast news station. And if I make a mistake as a producer, and I run a story with an error in it. It sucks and I hate that, but we make mistakes. It's what we do. We're students, we're learning, we're in a learning environment. It's a lot better that I run the story with an error in it at my college's, their student-run organization, rather than go into the workforce and do the same thing at my job. College is a learning experience, that's what it's for. Number 2, you are going to make short-term friends, and that's okay. You don't have to feel obligated to try to keep a friendship going that's pretty much just run its course. You move pretty quickly through college. You have different classes and a different schedule every single semester. Things change. You're not going to keep every single friendship. Sometimes you just have sort of situational friendships, and that's totally fine. So if you find that some of your friendships just aren't lasting longer than a semester, it happens. Now on the flip side of that, number 3, there are also those friends that you might only be friends with for a few months. You can generally, a lot of times, if you need someone to hang out with, call up that same friend. I feel like college is a very social time in everyone's lives. So if you need someone to go do something with, that friend that you haven't talked to in 3 semesters, you could probably still call them up and hang out with them. I don't know if that's with everyone, but I just feel like a lot of people, you sort of have that weird dynamic in college where it doesn't really matter how long you haven't talked to this person, anyone's down for going and hanging out. That is from my experience. I don't know if that's from everyone's point of view, but through my own personal experiences, that seems to be a very college thing. Next is that college professors literally make or break a class. You can have one class, let's just say biology, and 2 different professors for that one same class and 2 completely different experiences. And it basically feels like 2 completely different classes. Professors get a lot of wiggle room with how they teach. So when you're picking your classes, it's not just about picking the class. It's also about looking at the professors and finding out as much as you can about them before you take it, because you might hear say media writing is a super easy class by multiple different people. You have to ask who their professor is, because there might be one professor that those people are having that is really easy, but then there's another one who's very difficult and that's a big workload, and it's completely up to the professor. So you just have to sort of pay attention to that because it makes a difference. Next is that if you just never start skipping classes, then it's a lot less of a temptation and a lot less of a problem. A lot of people have the issue of skipping classes being a huge temptation for them, and it's just so hard for them to get up and go to their classes. And that is because they skipped one class, and then once you skip that first one, it starts just sort of a downward spiral of you realize how nice it was that one time you skipped class, so you keep wanting to do it. Whereas if you just don't let that be an option in your head and you're like, I'm just not gonna skip class, I'm not gonna start, I'm not gonna do it, it just doesn't really become an issue for you because it's not even an option, because you've told yourself it's not. It's kind of like if you go your entire life without eating like ice cream or something. You hear other people talk about how great ice cream is and how much they love it and how it's so tempting for them to get ice cream, but you've never had it. You go through life and it's not that big of a temptation for you because you've never had it. You don't know what you're missing. But the first time that you go and you eat that ice cream, you realize how delicious it is. From then on out, you are going to have to deal with that as a temptation, because now you know what it tastes like and how good it is. Skipping classes, like the same thing. Next is that some professors genuinely care about their students and helping them however they can. So make contact with those professors. Go out of your way to get FaceTime with them. You're gonna need references, you're gonna need contacts, you are going to need people like them to help you land internships, land jobs, get interviews, whatever. You're going to need contacts. Professors are a good way to make those because they're kind of obligated to talk to you. So utilize that. And if they actually care about their students, then they are going to be good references for you. And this is especially true if they're professors for a class within your major and what you're trying to go into the fields for. Next is that if you're struggling in a class, make that known to the professor as soon as possible in the semester. Do not wait until it is a week before finals to make it known to them that you need help, that you need extra credit. Because at that point, that's all they can give you. They can only help you with extra credit. If you let them know in the middle of the semester, they can help you with your grade through actually helping you improve, not just offering you extra credit. This helps you in a couple of different ways. First off, it'll help you better understand the subject and be better in the class. And second off, it comes off better to the professor because you can approach it like, hello, doctor, whatever. I'm really struggling in your class. I really need help with these papers or on these tests or just these assignments in general. I'm struggling, can you help me? Instead of going up to them and being like, hey, your class has been hard for me. Can you offer me extra points, please? Because I want an A, or because I just want to pass if you're really struggling and you're failing. Professors are generally not going to appreciate that because it's happened to them a million times. A million students have gone up to them at the end of the semester asking for extra credit. Some professors just flat out won't offer it to you, so you're not gonna get very far asking for it anyway. Like around midterms, if at that point in the semester you're struggling with your grades and you haven't turned it around yet, that's a good time to approach them. See if they can offer you anything. Whether it's a class with papers and maybe they'll offer you being able to read your papers, the next paper before you submit it, so that way you can have a rough draft of them already with corrections and you can fix it for your final grade and then you get a better grade on it. Or maybe they give you some sort of help with knowing what to study for the next test, or maybe they just straight up offer you extra credit. But this way, it just makes you look better and it ups your chances of getting help and getting a better grade. The next one is get involved in a limited number of activities. I know a big thing that people go into is get involved in however many things you can get involved with. And yes, getting involved is important and I 120 million % say that you should, but I don't think you should overload yourself with a bunch of random clubs and organizations and responsibilities that don't really help you, or that just some of them help you and some of them don't. You've just been told to get involved with a bunch of stuff, so you just sort of sign up for everything. And then that's what happens is freshmen do this. They sign up for a bunch of stuff and then they sort of peter off, and that doesn't really help anybody. You can go with that approach to try to figure out the clubs and organizations that you like and you want to continue with. I guess if you just sign up for a bunch of them, you do figure out which ones you like and which ones you don't. My advice is to find some that pertain to what you want to do career-wise. If you want to go into any sort of political science type thing, and your options are you can sign up for SGA or Banjo Club. You might enjoy Banjo Club more, but go with SGA. It'll help you in the future. The next one kind of goes along with that, and it's treat everything in college like an application for a job. You're in college to get a career, most likely. I mean, I guess you could be going to college just for sort of the social side of things and you think that's what you're supposed to do. But for the most part, I think people are in college because they want a career. So treat everything, your classes, the organizations that you join, all of that like it's an application for your job. Treat your social media like it too, because people will post some interesting things on social media that future employers will look at. So everything that you're doing, look at it as if an employer will be looking at it, because they will be. On your resume, you are gonna put the different organizations that you were a part of if they are important to your career. Like SGA, you would put that on your resume. You wouldn't put Banjo Club on your resume. Your classes you have to treat really well because your GPA isn't life or death, but it is important. Once you break into the career world, your GPA no longer matters because your job experience will matter. But when you're leaving college and you don't have any job experience yet, your GPA might matter to your employer because they don't have a whole lot to base you off of except for your time in school. If you're going for a job that someone else straight out of college also is, you have a 2.5 GPA and they have a 3.8, they're probably gonna go with the 3.8 because it shows more dedication and a better work ethic. This next one does not apply to everyone, but if you're at a school that requires you to get an internship, or you have a major that requires you to get some sort of internship experience, whether it be like an entire semester internship or just a few hours, do not put that off until last semester of senior year. There are a couple of majors at my university that you do have to get internship hours for, and I know seniors getting that degree that have put things off, and they're looking at potentially not graduating on time because they just put things off. So it's really smart to be looking at stuff as early on as possible instead of waiting as long as possible. And my last one, you can pretty easily find out how difficult a professor is through friends who have had that professor before, through group messages or like group class Facebook pages or whatever, through Rate My Professor. There's a bunch of different ways to find out about professors. Utilize those, and with that, it's very common for people to just say, well, I want the easy professor. My advice is go for the easy professor in your gen ed classes, if you have to take gen ed classes, which if you're at a liberal arts school in America, you will. Go for the actual good, probably more difficult professors for your major classes, because those actually matter and you actually want to get substance out of those classes. So therefore, you don't want to just take the easiest professor, you want to take the best professor. But go for the easiest for the gen eds. Those don't matter anyway. Okay, and that's everything. Those are my 11 things that I have learned so far in my college career. I hope some of these were helpful for you. If they were, you can give this video a like. You can also subscribe to me. I put out new videos every single Friday, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.